What's the name of the best strip club in Oklahoma City?
Oh, I mean, it's been a
Exactly.
while since I've been. However, it is the Red Dog.
Is that still around?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh my
I
God.
don't want to tell you how I know.
I was gonna
best
say,
best hamburger, by the way, best cheeseburger I've ever had in my life.
that's saying a lot. I know Sugar's is out of business.
It is, yeah. It's
Where am I
now a
going to go to
club or
watch
something.
meth addicts take their clothes off? I don't know where. I don't even know where to get that anymore. Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. Football is over. We turned the page, at least for a couple of months. I mean, it's never ending football season. It's all year round pretty much for us at least. And so we'll talk a little bit about football, wrap up the season, move on to basketball a little bit. So many things to get to. Baseball around the corner. Soccer's in full swing as the English Premier League gets their stretch run going over the next few months. God, I never would have thought a year ago I would have been talking about soccer at this point in the year, but whatever's making money, paying the rent, I will absolutely take it. So let me bring in my co-host from Louisville, Kentucky. We'll get this show underway, get you signed up for the best deals you left this year, and get you making some money betting on sports. From Louisville, Kentucky, Mr. Brandon Rush. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
Makes you wonder what we're going to be talking about a year from now.
You'd never, maybe hockey, stretch
Yeah,
run of hockey or
yeah.
something. You'd never know what the next thing is. Maybe we'll get some Taiwanese ping pong action. So, really the point is, it doesn't matter. That's what I've learned through the years is that I'm not so arrogant to think that if I'm not handicapping, it must not be valuable because soccer has been incredibly valuable. I don't handicap any of it, don't know anything about it, don't care about it. But it is continuing to build profit, and you get those plays for about $50 a week. So these other packages that I don't do, they not only make you a lot of money, they cost very little. They're winning 9 out of every 10 weeks. Soccer is right now. It's actually more than that, but because a couple of those weeks were like half a unit or something. But
Right.
I think there's been 3 or 4 losing weeks, period, since we started. Think about that, Brand. Since we started last summer, I think there's been 4 actual losing weeks, and nothing bad. I mean, it's not been like a 2-8. I mean, we had like half a unit or a unit or so, but I mean, there just haven't been many. Most every single week, soccer makes money, and those packages are very inexpensive and located on the website. So, FatJackSports.com. Sign up today and win this weekend. So we're back from Vegas, back from the Super Bowl. Brandon, overall thoughts of the Super Bowl game, of the game itself, and the trip. Where are you? What'd you think? Talk to me about that.
I mean, the game was a televised murder. I mean, we saw a Philadelphia Eagles defense who didn't blitz at all get pressure with 4 guys against anything Kansas City threw at them for the better part of 50 minutes worth of football. And it was wild to see kind of in real time how a coach like Andy Reid, who is regarded as a guru when it comes to offenses, not really have a counterpunch. And I don't know if they could have done much considering how bad they were getting beat by that front 4, but it felt like once the turnover started, they were trying to dig themselves out of a hole. They became so one-dimensional that one dimension couldn't overpower how good Philly's defense was.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Brandon. My thoughts similar to that, but I'll tell you what goes into my mind on how the weekend went. I start with the fact that, and this is going to sound incredibly arrogant and stupid, but for somebody that lost the Super Bowl, I'm a much better handicapper than I even thought I was. I'll just tell
I
you.
mean, because really, I mean, yeah, I mean, you not to pat yourself on the back, I'll do it for you. This game kind of broke how we thought it was going to, minus the pick 6,
Yeah,
which we can't necessarily account for.
so everything that we lost or that I lost in the game, which was not much, what's so funny, I go on for literally 2 weeks after the conference championship games. Everybody that will listen, basically, from literally the guy at a bar or somebody that walks up to me and says, "Who do you like?" all the way to every radio show, this show, obviously, I lead in with turnovers will decide the game.
Mm-hmm.
2 evenly matched teams. Don't go crazy. Don't do this. Everybody that'll listen. To the point I sound like a wet blanket. I had my
It's
neighbor
almost robotic, to be honest with you. It's just
and
like
boring and kind of
wash,
bonerish.
rinse, repeat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bonerish. I mean, honestly, I wish I wasn't that way, but it is. I mean, I just absolutely hate that's the answer that I have to lead with, but it's the
Mhm.
truth. And so I had actually a neighbor moved in next door to a place we have in California, and he figured out what I did. Blah blah. Who do you like in the game? I'm leading him with this, and I know he goes back to his place like I just needed a team. I didn't need a
Just tell me who's winning. I don't need a
yeah.
breakdown.
I didn't need a whole thing.
I don't need the insight.
Don't care about turnovers. He's not betting a dime. But the reality is that game went exactly like it could have gone if you had told me it would have gone if you had said, okay, well, here's what's going to happen, Jack. In the first quarter, Patrick Mahomes is going to throw 2 interceptions, one of them inside the 25, and he's going to throw a pick 6. How do you think it's going to go? I'd have told you Philly's going to win easily. We talked about it at halftime on the live chat of the thing. You said, what does Kansas City need to do to get back in the game? I said, this game's over.
It's over. Yeah. I was befuddled. I was like, it's Kansas City. They're back-to-back Super Bowl champions. They've been in this game 5 times. You telling me that what some people are saying might be a dynasty is done at halftime? And you were, yeah. Grand opening, grand closing there. Dang.
Yeah, it's not done forever. But the reality is, Brandon, and was I surprised at how well Philly's defense played? A little, but not much, honestly. I expected a low-scoring game, kind of a possession battle. So the fact that they were able to get home as easy as they were early in the game, a little bit surprising. But once the first score happens, Brandon, then you become in a much more predictable situation. It's not we're going to throw it every time, although that's what Andy Reid did for like the next 3 series. Yeah. He just threw it. I don't think they had a running attempt or maybe one running attempt over the next 2 or 3 series. But even once they're behind, if you say, okay, well, it's 50% chance they're going to run it if it's even. Once Kansas City's behind, it becomes, all right, well, now it's a 70% chance they're going to throw it, 30% chance they're going to run it. When they throw the pick 6, now it's an 80-20 to 90-10. So that predictable situation makes it much easier for those front 4 to tee off and Philadelphia not to bring blitz packages. So it was a game that went exactly like I thought. And once you factor in those turnovers.
Right.
If they hadn't turned the ball over, it would have looked totally different. But I guess the big question is, and I always look at after the fact, could Kansas? How many times out of 10 would Kansas City have won if these 2 exact teams played? I would land on 3 probably.
See, I was thinking 4, maybe 4.5.
Yeah, it's so hard to tell because we didn't really get a full game to analyze what Kansas City would be. What we do know is
it was over early.
Yeah, it was just over. I mean, once they got down, the whole thing changes to the point that Kansas City is not coming back. Not because Kansas City's not good enough, but because they're so evenly matched, and Philadelphia does really well at what Kansas City's going to have a hard time overcoming being down. Defensively, secondary, all those type of things. Remember, this is not a Kansas City team that relies on the run heavily. So they couldn't really be patient. Because what we saw
they didn't have the luxury of sitting back and biding their time, knowing that defense was going to be pinning their ears back. They had to take shots, and those shots just didn't land.
Yeah, because Philadelphia was then going to turn around. And I give it up to their offensive coordinator that I guess is going to New Orleans now. It did a great job of not just settling on Barkley after they got the lead. He was not going to run down the clock. He threw a lot of play action passes on first down, a lot of screen passes, safe stuff. So they most likely we're not going to turn the ball over. But it was not just line up and rely on our number 1 ranked offensive line and Saquon Barkley to end this game just because we're up 14. I thought they did a great job of still mixing it up the entire game. He won't get enough credit, but that I thought that was great. As far as the bets go, we had under was the play in the game, obviously a loser. Which even with the late score out of Kansas City, if you don't give Philadelphia 14 points, it stays under. And I think it stays under easily. That'd be the other thing. If I released it again, I would probably release Philly. I definitely would, at least as an opinion, probably a selection. But I would still release the under. I would not. That game goes under at least 6 or 7 times out of 10. So I would definitely release the under if I had to do it again, and most at 7 or 8 times out of 10 for sure. So as far as the prop bets go, Brandon, which is where we made our money, that's where everybody turned a profit. When you sign up at FatJackSports.com for the game, you got not only predicted final score, best bets for the game, but you got all the prop bets also, which more than made up for the loss on the total. And the prop bets we lost, Brandon, were not very. There weren't very many, and the ones that were all almost all directly related to the 2 turnovers. So basically everything that went wrong in the game was a direct result of 14 points given away by Patrick Mahomes and by Kansas City.
Yeah, that those hinged really on that swing. Yeah, as soon as that pick six happened, I was like, well, some of these are doomed.
Yeah, so I mean, let's look at those real quick. We're going to turn the page and go to this, but I think it's important to point out that even when you and there will be idiots. And by the way, if you're out there, you're thinking this, you are an idiot. But if there will be guys say this is an excuse, he's making excuses. No, what I'm doing is acknowledging the fact that random turnovers are random. They are 100% unpredictable. They happened early in the game, and because of that, some other things happen. That's important information when you're trying to decide whether you were correct in what you were trying to figure out or not. So, um, uh, because those things are not predictable. So, I think it's important to look back at those and say, all right, well, what was good, what was bad about that, and what was right and what was wrong. Um, and the reality is that what was right was there were a few of them that I absolutely was wrong in, and the ones I was wrong in that had, I would say, little to nothing to do with with the
Were a
uh,
result of the turnovers.
the turnovers are going to be things like um, Kelsey over his
Over six
catches.
catches. Yeah. I mean, he was targeted a handful of times, and some of those were horrific throws, but he didn't get the room to operate like we've seen him have against other teams. Philly made
Yes,
it a point to be like, hey, if anybody beats us, it sure as hell isn't going to be Travis Kelsey.
so that was definitely a bad play. The other losers off the prop bets, will the game be tied after 0-0? That is out the window the minute that they throw the second interception. They're down
Yep.
14. They're not coming back. We went over that. A.J. Brown over also was a result of, in my opinion, a result of the turnovers because they're not going to take as many chances. They're not Kansas City, although had to blitz some, there's not going to be as much of a reason or motivation for them to throw it to A.J. Brown down the sidelines and possibly turn the ball over. So that was a direct result of the turnovers. The longest field goal made under 47 yards. That was under 47 yards until we had a offsides
A
call,
false start, yeah.
a false start. It went from
Backed it up
42 to
5. Yeah.
43 to 49 or 48 or whatever. So that one went over because of that. So that had nothing to do with the turnovers, but that was a little bit unlucky. The other, Isaiah Pacheco over 5 rushing attempts. That absolutely had a lot to do with um, the turnovers and the score getting out of hand. I guess you could also say that Kareem Hunt under was a winner because of that, because they weren't able to really kind of establish the run. Those were the only losses on the props. Everything else was a winner. First quarter points under 10.5. Saquon Barkley under 123 yards rushing. We talked about Hunt. Patrick Mahomes under his rushing total. Uh, Hurts over 9.5 rushing attempts, easy winner. Hurts over a half a touchdown, easy winner. The other kind of unlucky one, by no score in the first 6.5 minutes, easy winner. Number of Kansas City players catching a pass over 7.5, easy winner. The only other one that was a little bit of unlucky was DeAndre Hopkins, which depending on what you got the number at, it's going to be a loser based on basically a second catch that happened very late in the game.
Yep.
So, and basically was in cleanup time. So he was way under, only 2 catches, and really was not targeted most of the game. So I was really right on that, even though it ended up not being a winner. So,
But then also over 1.5 interceptions was, I mean,
easy,
obviously
right?
was a result of the turnovers, but we kind of figured that that was going to be a possibility. The Matariza touchback on a punt was a winner. I mean, there were winners that were there, and they offset the losses, even though the selection lost, still a profitable Sunday.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Basketball did not go as well, and then we're going to move on to the segment 2 and everything else that's going on with basketball. But just wanted to put a big bow on this because it was very interesting that even though we did, that's the first time I've lost a Super Bowl in 14 years. I really liked the way the handicapping was in the game and felt like I wouldn't do a lot different if they played again. Other than I'd say, hey, Patrick Mahomes, let's not turn it over twice early in the game. It's going to make everything else a little more predictable. So FatJackSports.com, now still the time to get signed up if you're wanting to get everything for next year, if you're wanting to get this weekend. We have everything from this week all the way through the 2026 NBA Finals. All those packages are there. Add those extra sports, soccer, players props, UFC, all those type of things right now, you save a bunch of money versus waiting until later in the year. So, and you can pay out the service fee over the most amount of months. How are we doing on time?
We're good.
All right, good. So, guys, I have a lot of stuff, and it's really kind of zigging and zagging, Brandon. Let's put a bow on the Super Bowl trip,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll come
Mm-hmm.
back because I got a beef with the All-Star game in the NBA.
Okay.
I had a couple of interesting things happen in Vegas that happened during the trip. I want to talk about one or two of those. What was your favorite part of the weekend?
Boy, I mean, the Super Bowl party at the Westgate was really good. It was probably one of the better ones that we've had over the last number of years. One highlight though that just kind of I didn't think was going to be one was going to Brandon Marshall's restaurant, going out to Hattie Marie's out by the outlet malls. Friend of the show, you're with
Yep.
him on Beat the Odds. Went out there, had a good time, had a good meal, and to be honest with you, the vibe for Vegas was kind of low key compared obviously to last year when the Super Bowl was in Vegas, but other previous years was a quieter year, so it was just kind of a chill, relaxing, almost felt kind of like a vacation, not necessarily a work thing.
Yeah, which is nice. Nice to kind of take a deep breath now and then. And yeah, you're right. Yeah, Hattie Marie's is Brandon Marshall played for the Denver Broncos. Has played two Super Bowls actually, won one, lost one, and played for Nevada Reno before that. Played in a bunch of bowl games. He is on Beat the Odds with me. We've become friends the last 3 or 4 years. He has a restaurant out there, barbecue. It's Texas barbecue or Southern barbecue type place. Which, as you know, Brandon, being from Oklahoma in the middle, got a lot of barbecue, a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an amateur on barbecue, so I told him going in. I said, "Listen, this stinks. I'm probably gonna
I'm
have
gonna
to
let you
tell you."
know.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you because, and to my surprise, because that's always an awkward conversation when you tell a friend your restaurant stinks. But it didn't have to do that because
Yeah.
the restaurant it was actually very good. So Hattie Marie's, it's off the strip, um, but not far
Definitely
from
worth the cab or Uber ride down there to
yeah,
check it
15,
out. If
15
if
minutes
because
by the outlet
if
mall.
you're in if you're in Vegas and you are craving barbecue, come on. There's
Great
I
side.
wish we had a place like that here because all the barbecue in Louisville is terrible.
Honestly, well, in Louisville, yeah, not Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma's got
Mm-hmm.
good barbecue, but yeah, in Louisville, it's not good. But yeah, this was up there with some of the best that we have, even in Oklahoma. So definitely a good place to hit if you're out there next. Go by and see him, and if you need that, email me and we'll give you the information. But good dude also, so he's got a
Yeah,
good business
absolutely.
going.
But yeah, it was a fun trip. Like I said, it was my 20th trip with you to Vegas for Super Bowl weekend. I missed 1 year, but outside of that, it was like I said, it was a tame trip, but a profitable one. So
So
it
went
was
to some
fun.
good meals for sure. I
Yes,
would.
yes.
You didn't go, which you abstained, which I totally get because you're kind of a music snob. You like what you like. You were not going to go hang out with a bunch of 50 somethings at Cheap Trick because Cheap Trick was a last minute impulse buy
Yes. Yeah.
that
It was
we.
something that wasn't, it was on the periphery. Like I knew it was happening. And I gave it about, Jamie asked me that morning before we had even had the conversation about going. And she's like, "Do you know Cheap Trick was here tonight?" And I was like, "Yeah, I saw them in 1994 at the Zoo Amphitheater in Oklahoma City. And I thought they were old then. I don't want to see them in 2025. It's the
Yeah, and
same. If they had new music, maybe, but
I don't want to hear new music on Cheap Trick. I mean, that's. I mean, I want to hear. I want you to want me, and maybe one or
hmm
two other songs. It's really the only reason I went. But yeah, I got some tickets to that, and so we went to that. That was fun. Let's touch on the halftime performance real quick. Then I got a little
yes.
kind of a funny story, um, as about what happened to me after I was cashing out my tickets. So what are your thoughts on Kendrick Lamar?
I am a Kendrick Lamar fan, so I come from that viewpoint. I thought there's something to be said about having a platform to be able to deliver a kill shot when it comes to personal vendettas, and he crushed that. So that said, was phenomenal from an entertainment standpoint. If you weren't familiar with what Kendrick Lamar is and does, you were probably really bored and or hated it. But I thought it was a flawless execution of a vision, and it was great. And again, I have a biased viewpoint on it, but it was entertaining, and I'm glad I got to see a performer at his peak do his thing.
Yeah, you asked me at halftime, before halftime, how many
We,
Kendrick Lamar songs could I name, and I gave you a quick zero.
yes,
Um, I know who Kendrick Lamar is. Obviously, my daughter is a big fan. My son is
sure.
too. And so, but I'm just, it's not something I listen to. But even with that being said, I did get the backstory as it was going
Mm-hmm.
on.
Mm-hmm.
I love a good beef. I
Yes.
like a good fight. That's the only thing I'm enjoying right now about Trump being president. It's some kind of similar thing. There's flare-ups all the time about things, whether I agree with
There's
them or not.
drama. And anytime you turn on a television, you open your phone to look at social media, there's an opportunity to see something pop off.
And I kind of enjoy that. It's like being in middle school. I told Karen it's like being in middle school. So I'm in middle school, and there's little fights going on around all over the playground. Now, I'm not involved in them, so I don't care. We're doing away with the penny. All right, awesome. I love it. And then there's going to be a fight about whether to do away with the penny. I enjoy both the fact we're doing away with the penny and the fact we're going to fight about whether we're going to do it with the penny. So I'm kind of enjoying that. Kendrick Lamar fighting with who is Drake, right? He fights with Drake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Go at it. I don't care. I think that's funny. And yeah, so I thought all that was kind of and his music was catchy, and I love the people watching because people at the show party
Oh man,
loved it.
I
So I
saw a video real quick. I saw a video this morning of a video taken on a Caribbean on a Carnival cruise at the halftime show. People watching the halftime show, buddy. That thing was crazy fun.
I can imagine. Yeah, it was.
They were
If
getting
you
after it.
walk throughout the big party, there was a lot of that too. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't mind it. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want him to do it every single year,
No,
but I enjoyed it. It was fine.
right place,
Um,
right time.
FatJackSports.com. Get signed up. We're gonna talk about the NBA, and we'll get back from the break. Give away some free winners, so stick with us. The other thing that kind of happened was interesting. You know, Brandon. So we're done with the Super Bowl, and I've got to go collect some tickets because I bet these prop bets and things all over town.
Mm-hmm. At
And
multiple places. So you got to. We were at Westgate, and then you probably had to go to Caesars, and then
I
probably
did.
had to go downtown.
So I start at, and I had walked in late, and I had bet two or three bets at the Westgate in
Mm-hmm.
person because I normally don't bet the Westgate. It's not on my list of normal places, but they sponsor the show. We go to the party there, so I always feel like I should throw them a bone. So I bet
Sure,
I don't know,
sure.
5 or 10 grand or whatever. So 5,000 actually. So so we're after the deal. I go up to the window, and I'm like second in line. They do the game final. They owe me $10,779. All right. So I give them the tickets. They owe me $10,779. So the woman is back there, and she's going around, and she's getting the money and all that kind of stuff. And I see to myself, it looks like she's stacking up a lot more than $10,779 because she's got a $10,000 wrap, and then she's got a $5,000 wrap. She's got a bunch of money over there. And so she sends the money over, and she gets back, and she's got this stack of money, and she pushes it to me. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
I said, is that your final answer?
Because I'm doing the math here, and I've seen the video. There's a 10,000 stack, the 5,000 stack, and then
There's
hundreds.
more money there. What she had done, Brandon, is
Mm.
she's giving me
$17,000.
$17,779. She had moved out the zero. She owes me $10,779. She'd moved the zero out, and she put a 7 in the place in her bind. So she pushes me over this stack of money. She didn't, stack it up. The video I put online was actually from Caesar, so it said Westgate because I wanted to give credit to
Right.
the party we were at, and that kind of stuff. But it was actually Caesar's. It was a dude, a totally different thing. Anyway, so she pushes over 17K, and I says, "That's your final answer?" And she says, "Yeah. What do you say? Here's your money." And I said, "Do you want another? You want another chance?"
Mm.
She said, and she looked back over at the screen, looked back at you, and you could tell she just went pale white. Went,
Right.
Oh my God. Da, 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 da. Well, the reality is I already done the math in my head. Even if I didn't believe in karma, which I do, I they sponsor a TV show I'm on.
You were in a position that many other people probably A would not be, and B not have the little devil angel on the shoulder thing to be like, do we want to do this?
It wasn't even a devil. I'm going to get. It's one of those deals that even if I was a shady person that wanted a free $7,000, Brand, I was gonna get caught because everything's on video. At some point, they're going to figure out later on in the night you're $7,000 short. Hopefully, she gets everything else right the rest of the night. Doesn't have to go through this. But they're going to go back and try to figure out who in the world
walked away with $7 grand extra.
And by the way, I didn't go through any of this. I will tell you, Brent, I swear to you, I find lots of stuff on the ground. Even I turn that stuff in always. I believe because I'm a gambler. There's variance, there's risk, there's randomness. I believe in karma. I believe in God. I'm not going to steal somebody's money that I'm not owed. But in this particular case, there was no win. They were going to find out. I mean, no matter what. At some point, I'm getting a call because they're going to know because they take the card up front. So they're going to know that it's me. At some point, they're going to be able to figure it out. So ended up being kind of crazy. Yeah, we ended up collecting money all the time. It was actually a good trip. So FatJackSports.com if you want that to be you next year.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.
If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it, we are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every week, get free winners, and tips on how to become a better sports bettor. Plus, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds. Stay connected with the Fat Jack Sports Service at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and now here is our host. He is our captain on the hardwood. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2. Turning the page after the Super Bowl, getting into basketball, adding the soccer as part of my daily routine. I've kind of become a fan of. It obviously helps we're winning. But I've kind of become a fan of watching soccer. I mean, it's not something I ever cared about before, but it's like anything else. I mean, if you get paid, you get money to watch it. It's been pretty nice watching those wins come home. So you watch a lot. I know you're a soccer fan, right?
I've spent about a decade kind of, and it's grown, and it's at a fever pitch now that I actually am plugged into someone who can win betting the games, because having bet soccer for a while myself, it was always really kind of hit and miss. But now, I mean, we're cranking out wins. So now that we've got this, maybe hockey's on the horizon, because like you said earlier, we may be doing this next year. But do you you've enjoyed watching it because it's profitable? Have you attached yourself as a fan to any certain player, team, style, anything like that?
No, I mean, there's a few that I could point out. Harry Kane,
Okay.
I think I remember him. But does he still play?
He's not in Europe. They're not in England anymore. He's in Germany now.
Gotcha, makes sense. And then there's this long-haired, blonde-haired guy that I think
Erling Haaland,
that is German maybe, and he plays for somebody in the English Premier League.
Manchester City. I want to say he's from Sweden. So yeah,
there you go. So no, I've not become a fan of
it. Roundabout question. No, Brandon.
Yeah, no. I mean, I normally tune in. I get up, I do my work, I flip it over to USA or whatever, and see how we're doing. Normally, we're already 1-0. The bounce has gone up or two.
Right.
It's just been. I'm just getting spoiled. I mean, if we ever go through a couple weeks in a row of losing, everybody's going, "Oh my God, soccer stinks." But it's been so profitable and probably will continue to do so. And it's about $50 a week to get those plays. I mean, my gosh. But no, I've enjoyed that. And then I watched the second half, and honestly, the sweat's been fun. We have under, and most of the time it's staying under. It'll get close, but there's a little sweat involved, or we've had a few ties, and so watching the ties late, more ties than not. He calls it tie. It's a tie a lot of times. So ties are always a sweat, because somebody could score late and those type things. So no, I've really enjoyed the soccer though. So basketball to this point in the year, the only feedback we ever get in basketball is people for some reason think that, I don't know if they forget that I'm betting the games myself or whatever, but they like to quote the records. They like to, well, I'm only 29-27 since blah, 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 blah. They have their own personal spin or take on their personal record based on when they sign up. I guess forgetting that I'm betting every single game, because I'm not interested in what we are over the last 14 and a half days or the last 17 or the last 24 days or whatever it is whatever you care about. If you have a smaller, micro view of the season, I don't care about that like at all, because I'm betting the entire year, every game, all year long, all day long. That's what I'm doing. So I'm interested in that. So when that doesn't go well, I give people a little bit of a pass. But here's the reality, Brand. If you look at the results tab, go to FatJackSports.com. If you're out there, look at the results tab, go to basketball, add up how we're doing, how we're actually doing in basketball. And what you're going to see is there's been 2 of those segments where we broke about even. And we have won between 7 and 14 games every other segment. So when the dust settles, Brandon, we're up over 30 games, between 30 and 40 games so far this year. When you think about that in basketball, on an average year, we're going to make 50 to 60 games of profit. We're right about average right now.
Yeah.
We're not even into March Madness yet. March Madness normally is 15 to 20 games of profit. We're up about 40 right now. So if we make 10, and this is through the NBA, which
Right. This is
is always
through
great.
yeah, the NBA finals are in June. So yeah, if we're almost maybe a little bit ahead, of course, on for an average year versus versus a normal year so
Yeah,
far.
well, we might be. So, and if I tell people ahead of time, ahead of every season, I say, listen, you're going to make, if you sign up for basketball, you're going to make 50 to 60 games of profit on average, which, by the way, is exactly what I say. Sometimes you're going to make 80, sometimes you're going to make 30. But you're going to make 50 to 60 on average over the last 20, almost 20 years. 15, I think we did basketball for almost 20 years, 15 half years or so. Everybody will say, sign me up for that. That's great. And the reality is most of the guys don't reach out and give me records and that kind of stuff. They just continue to build profit, continue to put money in their bank account, and then continue to go on with their life. But I always think it's funny that guys, they want to give these micro views of the season based on what their experience is. Your experience, if you are 2 games over 500 and you signed up whatever days ago, that's your experience based on your decisions that you've made. If you want to make money betting on basketball, join my experience and Brandon's experience and the thousands of clients around the country's experience, which is let's get all the plays. Let's follow the system. Let's bet we're supposed to bet. Let's not worry about dribble offs and bad beats and that kind of stuff because those are going to even out. And then at the end of the year, we're going to add up. We're going to make 50 to 60 years of profit per season on average over the last almost 20 years. So that's going to be the difference. So if you're out there listening, right now is the time to do that. Sign up through the 26th Super Bowl. You're going to pay basically nothing for basketball between now and next year's basketball season. That's all going to be free based on what you'll pay if you sign up in August, September, October, November. So get signed up for everything. Start following the system. Play the bases. Do all of that. You're going to build profit. You're going to make money. And then you're never going to feel the need or the want to email me again or email Brandon or whatever with your record since you signed up 6 days ago or whatever it is. I mean, it's random. It always just depends on, and that doesn't mention the idea that you might be not doing everything correctly. I'm never going to dissect your record. I used to back in the day. Somebody'd send me that, and I would know it's wrong. I'd know their record's wrong because I betting the games myself. All the games are posted, and I would say that's not right. Here's why. Oh, well, I'll send it to you. I'm doing everything right, following your system exactly. I do everything when you they all say the same thing.
Sure.
They're never right. They never do that. And I used to go and prove it to them every time. And I would say, well, here's what you did. Well, yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry to bother you. Well, 3 hours later, as I'm dissecting some jackass's record who is wrong on what he's sending me, I've dissected why he's wrong, and I've wasted 3 hours of my life, which is unfair to the other clients who don't want me to do that. They want me to handicap, find winners, send them winners, repeat. So that's the whole thing. Get signed up for longer packages right now. Is the time to do it. FatJackSports.com. Good time to do that. The All-Star game, Brandon, coming up. When is the All-Star game?
I want to say it's next weekend.
Next one. I know we're getting close. I have a little bit of a beef with the All-Star team. I have a big beef, actually. And it's a little bit of a riddle, but really not for me. And it's a personal thing. So, Trae Young, Atlanta Hawks guard. You're familiar with him, right?
Very, yes.
Okay. He did not make the All-Star. I know he went as an alternate. Giannis got hurt, and so he hurt his calf. So he's going to make the All-Star team. I think this is his 4th All-Star team in the last of 6 that he can. But he did not make the All-Star team again based on the voting, Brandon.
Right.
I do not, for the life of me, I do understand in a way because Trae's game and Trae as a person is a little bit polarizing and has been since he was about 9. All right? I mean, we used to play against Trae, and my son has played against Trae. He's played with Trae. I've coached Trae. I'm very familiar with Trae Young and Ray Young and the whole Candace. I love them. I really do love their family. I respect everything they've done with it's been amazing to watch, honestly, because it's been one of those things in my life that I don't have a lot of that experience. I don't know what it takes to, in my opinion, craft an NBA player, which is exactly what happened. There's nothing special about Trae Young as far as physically. The guy's 6'1" or 6'2". There's nothing special. Everything Trae Young is as an athlete has been developed. It has been built mentally and physically. And like or don't like the methods that Ray Young did when he was growing up or whatever, because there's people in Norman that, they'll talk about the 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. workouts and the different thing, all these. Here's the reality. This dude crafted an NBA player out of a kid that's 6'2" or whatever, 6'1", and has no discernible physical gifts other than the fact that mentally and physically he is better than almost any athlete on the planet, and certainly any athlete on the planet at his size. So I'll start there. My problem, but I understand the polarizing nature of his game. But what I don't understand is how you leave a dude off the All-Star team, this has now become chronic, Brandon. If you're leading in any one category in the NBA, and you are the star of your team, I don't understand how you're not making the All-Star team. I think you're going to have a counterpoint to this, and you're going to take the other side of this. So I'm interested to see, because I don't get it. Trae, again, is leading the league in assists.
Mm-hmm.
And what I would like to know, and what I would like you to do while I'm rambling here in a minute, is of these other players, any of these other players not make the All-Star team? Obviously, Shea Alexander did. Sabonis. Did Sabonis make the All-Star team?
He did not.
He did not. Dyson Daniels, I guess, did not either.
Correct.
Stephen Curry obviously did.
Absolutely,
because
yeah.
he's Stephen Curry. Wembanyama did, obviously.
Yep.
Because he's Victor Wembanyama. So my problem is that if you are leading, they only keep like 6 categories. And if you are leading the league in one of those categories, it's not like they take 5 people. I'm not saying he should be a starter. I'm just saying if you're going to build an all-star team, it's going to have 15 people or whatever's on it. I don't know how you can be doing one of the 6 things that they care about better than anybody else in the league and not make the team. Jokic, he made the team, right?
Jokic, yep.
Jokic. So he's in the top 5 in 4 of the categories. So I get that, but he's not leading any of them. I guess my point is I could go through if I wanted to, and I won't because this is not a sports talk show. It's a gambling show. But I could go through and I could find some people that are on this list that are not leading in any category. Cade Cunningham, did he make it?
He did.
Cade Cunningham made it, and Trae did. Explain that one to me, Brandon. Cade Cunningham is 3rd in assists. He's not in the top 5 in anything else. How is he on it and Trae's not?
I would think the only reason why is there are a bunch of people who don't like Trae.
There are, and that would be my next point. Why don't they like him? They don't know this kid.
I mean, I think you look at what he did in New York and the Knicks specifically, and how he just terrorizes them.
That didn't hurt.
That
Reggie
has
Miller
angered.
at all.
Yeah, but like I'm sure, but like yeah, that's your point's not missed. But yeah, I think there for whatever reason a lot of people don't like. I'd say a lot of people, but enough people don't like Trae and don't necessarily respect what he does on the floor.
Which is,
I think that's probably the bigger problem.
I agree. I agree with what you're saying. It's like we talk about this about golfers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'd want to spend 5 minutes with Justin Thomas.
No,
he's kind of a smart aleck. He's kind of.
Have you watched the Netflix Perfect Swing or whatever it's called?
No, I have not. Not 1 second of it.
Yeah, you would. I have watched it. I watched it on the flight. I confirmed. Would not hang out with that dude.
It's smart sass. Too much sass. You're a golfer. Get over yourself. I don't want to hear sass out of golfers. I really don't. Unless they're on the golf course, and then we'll talk about all the sass they want. Other than that, I don't want to hear sass. But everybody seems to like Justin Thomas. Even Rory McIlroy, who has gone out of his way to make enemies with the Live Tour.
Mm-hmm.
People give him a pass, and he's pretty well liked. I mean, I think by most people.
Love
we
Rory.
don't know these people. We're just going off what we see on the court. Yet Trae Young, we've decided, is the biggest jerk in the world. I will tell you firsthand, he's not. I mean, Trey's not a bad dude. Trey's cocky.
Sure.
I spend a lot more time.
I think you have to be at that level. I mean,
right?
come on.
And the guy, he's 6'2", playing in the NBA. You better be cocky. You've got to think you're always open. Because if you get in the lane, you're not open. because Wembanyama's standing there.
A 7'15" guy is in the paint. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not open. So you better shoot it from anywhere. He is single-handedly. Him and Steph Curry have single-handedly extended the range of what's an acceptable three in the league. He's actually a trendsetter. I don't get it, but anyway, that's my beef on the All-Star team. And you see that at every level. You know, there are kids that I knew in high school and in college, saw in college with my son, and in high school actually too, that they did not make some of the All-Star teams because people did not like their game or they didn't like the way they. But the reality was they were invaluable. I saw it a couple of different times at Heritage Hall, and Norman North, frankly, the same way. I saw kids that were invaluable to their team, should have gotten more accolades and didn't. Based on they didn't like something about them that people I don't think know. It's an interesting thing though, but I won't talk about that. So
I mean, a popularity contest. I mean, we see that with the NFL MVP. If we're talking about the most valuable player to any one team, it's not always a quarterback, but somehow they always win the award. It's just it's the structure of the way things are set up is flawed, and therefore there are flaws in it.
Josh Allen was the MVP of NFL this last year.
Yes.
Right? You know,
yeah, won the MVP. I can't think that he is the most quote unquote valuable player to the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I mean it's hard because I'm one of those that screams it shouldn't have everything to do with the success of the team.
Yep.
I think the award really should go back to most valuable player to a team, and that is not Barkley and it's not Jalen Hurts. We saw in the Super Bowl. I mean, It's neither of those to that team. I mean. It's actually somebody like Patrick Mahomes. Actually, if you talk about from a gambling standpoint, it is Patrick Mahomes.
That's a whole other award.
Yeah, well, from a gambling standpoint, if you take away Patrick Mahomes, if you have the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes in it, let's say they're -6.5, and then you take Patrick Mahomes out of the lineup, they are plus points. They're plus one. He's worth over a touchdown to them. Lamar Jackson's similar. Not quite to that extreme, but he's also worth a ton to his team. But it's one of those guys, if you're talking about most valuable player to their team. So I guess that would get boring. But I don't think it should all have to do with overall record for sure. I have a little of a problem. You know, Buffalo didn't get it done, and I don't know who I'd give it to, though. So I guess I'm fine with that. So what's a disappointing year for the Oklahoma City Thunder?
Not making the NBA Finals.
So they need to win the Western Conference.
I think so. Last year was they were ahead of the curve. You know, they were ahead of schedule. Guys were still kind of coming into their own with the way that they are playing. Top record in the league heading into the All-Star break, which is this weekend, by the way. You have a potential MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The pieces that they have acquired. When you bring in Hartenstein, and then you get the emergence of Jalen Williams, you get the emergence of a healthy Chet Holmgren. If they make it to the Western Conference Finals and get swept, if they make it to the Western Conference Finals and lose in 7, I still think you can look at this season as a disappointment considering everything they've done at this point.
They're so relentless. That's what comes to mind with the Thunder. They're relentless every possession. You don't all these teams. And I think it's because they're all primarily run by one star in most of these cases.
Yeah.
And you just can't get the effort. Where Oklahoma City, yeah, they have Shai Alexander, but they have a bunch of pieces and a bunch of guys. And the effort, the culture with the Thunder is there to where they don't take off trips. Every trip down the floor, you're getting good defense, you're getting good offense. They're giving huge numbers. 12, 13, 14 points a game, still covering big numbers on a Tuesday night. I mean, the team is relentless. Does that translate to the playoffs? And does it translate to the finals? I mean, that's yet to be determined. And that is the big question now because they've now set this bar. Forget about Kevin Durant and Harden and Westbrook and all those guys. These guys are the bar's the highest with this team because of what they're doing on the court with a bunch of guys that nobody knew their name 3 years ago. I mean, it's a totally different thing. This is it all goes back to the GM. That's just absolutely incredible. They should really give him the key to the city. I mean, the dude.
Yeah, Presti should. I don't know how many GMs have statues outside the
Honestly,
arenas.
It's
Sam Presti might be the first, if not the next.
he should teach a master's class on how to be. I mean, it's just
No,
unbelievable.
because I don't want anyone else getting the secret.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying what he's done. This
Yeah,
is a guy that needs to write a book. I mean, he's from a mid-major market with limited budget and all the different things that he has challenges. Frankly, players don't want to come to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
No,
I mean, we started with that. Guys who get traded to Oklahoma City, like what?
they're the worst places you probably could have ended up as a free agent, or if you were like a piece being added into a trade, were Utah, Sacramento, Milwaukee, and Oklahoma City. And you look at what those teams have done through building their cultures. Those aren't necessarily destinations now, but guys are at least open to go play there now.
What's the name of the best strip club in Oklahoma City?
Oh, I mean, it's been a while since I've been. However, it is the Red Dog.
Is that still around?
Unfortunately, yes. I don't want to tell you how I know. Best hamburger, by the way, best cheeseburger I've ever had in my life.
That's saying a lot. I know Sugar's is out of business.
It is, yeah. It's now.
Where am I going to go to watch meth addicts take their clothes off? I don't know where. I don't even know where to get that anymore. So there's probably a spot. But the point is that the things that NBA play. I'm not saying they're all built on the strip club. I'm just saying that when you talk about nightlife and things going on, and Bricktown's been great in Oklahoma City, but they're not offering it. I mean,
that's also, by the way, one reason why the Oklahoma City will never host the NBA All-Star game.
Because of the strip clubs?
They don't have good enough strip clubs, yeah.
I used to own a trailer park. I could get them some girls they need. I mean, I think there's some girls out there that are probably looking for work. So, Boston, favored to win the NBA championship right now.
Okay.
Oklahoma City, second at plus 230, so you get a little better than 2-1. Cleveland, with their hot start out of the gate, they're 8.5 to 1 to win. The Knicks after that. So we get all the way down to 14 to 1 in the Denver Nuggets, and then 22 to 1 with the Lakers to not win the Western Conference. So to win the Western Conference, you're getting Oklahoma City at minus 105, minus money before the All-Star break
in February
to win the Western Conference. Now, if I was in any other market in the world, if I was was close to any other team in the world, I would be immediately looking for value somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yes, the regular season, this team's been incredible. But as everybody knows, playoffs are a different thing. So you get there's some huge value. If we look back and, Memphis wins it, or the Lakers with their trade, they end up getting there 9 to 1. We're going to say, gosh, we should have pounced on that. Yeah. Eastern Conference, Boston minus 125. So you got a couple of even money or worse favorites, and then Cleveland after that at 3 to 1. The Knicks 5 to 1. Milwaukee 13 to 1. With things going on up there. So so those are the things that basically are the big question for me. So who plays in the finals as we're sitting here at All-Star Weekend?
Boy, it's hard for me. I love Giannis, but I think that Milwaukee's window is closing. They don't have the pieces. I think Cleveland is scary, but outside of their two big guys, I don't know that they have enough. It's Boston and then either OKC, Denver, or LA.
So I promise you this,
and I hate taking the field, but
if we were in any other market in the country and we went and asked the question, who is least likely to play in the finals, Boston or Oklahoma City? 9 out of 10 people would say Oklahoma City is least likely.
I think if they're people that are, if they're basketball fans, I would say that's probably closer to maybe 60-40, but the general public, yeah.
I'd be interesting to see. I'm going to start doing that when I'm out and about. I'm going to circle back with an update here in a couple weeks. I'm going to go make a few friends at some of these places.
You don't even have to do that. You can just pop into any sports bar or barber shop and be like, "Hey, what do you think?" And then you'll get 75 opinions.
Do that. I'm going to write it down. Because I would bet you money down here in South Florida. And by the way, the odds will tell you Oklahoma City's more likely. They're actually the bigger favorite over the two within their conference, and there's a much bigger gap, which is the key. So you're like, all right,
Yeah.
well, you go from -105 to Oklahoma City. Denver's 5.5 to 1. They're the second choice in the West. In the East, Boston is -125. So actually, they're a little bigger favorite, but you only go to 3 to 1 to get Cleveland in.
Larger gap between 1 and 2 between Oklahoma City and Denver than there is between Boston and Cleveland.
And then you get New York at 5 to 1. So you get two teams fighting at the same number betting wise to overtake Boston that you do one team. You drop all the way back to 9 to 1 with the Lakers after Denver. So
where's Memphis in all this?
Memphis is 12 to 1 after the Lakers.
Wow, that surprises me. But I think maybe the trade for Luka might have bolstered the Lakers number a bit.
It 100% did. They were 14 or 15 to 1 before Luka. By the way, I know that the Dallas's GM now has full-time security. They probably want to put him on salary. I think they might have thought that was going to be.
They kicked people out of the arena the other night for like chanting to fire the guy. They are down bad.
So they're going to draw a line in the sand on this because this is the worst. What did they said? Why did that trade go through? How does Dallas possibly think that was a good idea?
Defense wins championships.
Oh my God!
But that's the business they're standing on. But I think they in some of the press conferences and everything, they were just like, Luka refused to get in shape, so we sent him off. That's something I could not do. I could not give up on a guy like that.
I would need to hear 5 reasons that had nothing to do with skill set and all to do with salary cap. Luka would not do. He would not sign an something salary cap contract driven.
Mm-hmm.
I need 5 of those if I'm a Mavericks fan before I take that trade. No, by the way, now he's going to sit on the bench for a month because he's hurt. So let's
and those draft picks that you're getting in 4 years are really going to help you right now.
And we don't know they're going to help in 4 years unless they somehow get Sam Presti away from Oklahoma City. There's no guarantee that Dallas is going to draft well. So that whole thing has gone haywire. So FatJackSports.com if you don't want to care about that. There'll be some more golf coming up as well. That's the next sport. I hear about that a little bit. You had anything else? I'm not adding anything else. I might add a handicapper or two. I'm trying out golf right now from a guy who swears he's good.
Okay.
We'll see. We're on.
Now, is this just going to be the majors, or are we talking like the Greater Greensboro Open?
Yes, we're talking about all of it, and it won't cost that much. This is one of those things.
Yeah.
Golf is always unless you dig down deep, and there are a couple of guys. There's a guy that actually very, very. They're a syndicate actually, and I think they're out of Canada, but. They're a syndicate, and they'll play anywhere between $300,000 and $1 million per week in golf.
Good.
And more on the majors, and they do very, very well. But that's a lot of match. It's a lot of match play. It's a lot of
head-to-head stuff, and a
lot of in-round stuff. Like they'll have people that they'll see. They know that I don't know how they do it, but they've got guys that they know set up well with the course. 3 holes in, they're 2 under. They know it's going to go well. They pounce on that, get some in-round stuff. We're not doing that. I'm not going to become a golf handicapper. I'm not going to do it. But so it's not going to cost much is the point. But as long as it produces profit and makes money for my client side, then I'm all for doing that. So we'll see. They're 1 for 4 right now. 1 week out of 4. The thing about golf though you'll get is that that 1 week will make up for the other 3 losses and then some. So it's a long.
Yeah, it's definitely a long game type of situation.
And I would only offer a long-term package, and I'd do it for like $800. I mean, something really, really small. Stay tuned. It's not going to happen. It would be at least after this year. You have to go at least a year. Baseball, I made go 5 years before I even charged any package. UFC, I made 2 or 3, and I literally should have made him go 5, or 6. So we're actively deciding about what to do about UFC. So anyway, if we add anything, it's going to consistently make you money. If it isn't, I'm not going to offer it. So go to FatJackSports.com. Get the soccer because literally we should throw them a parade. Next time I go to London, I'm going to lose a lot of money just on dinners and gifts and stuff. Because those guys have done more than their share.
Back out to Allen. History before the ball is tipped or a shot is even taken. Before the crowd explodes or history's made. If you're going to bet, have a game plan. Bet legally. Set limits. And keep it fun. When gambling becomes a problem, visit responsibleplay.org to find help.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and for the final time this week, here is our host, a man standing on principle. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 3. Big weekend coming up. All-Star Weekend, we decided that.
It is All-Star Weekend. Is the games, all the festivities, slam dunk contest, 3-point, all that stuff this weekend. Yes.
All right, that's a big weekend. I love that because the second half of the season and being able to focus full-time on basketball is nice also. So, obviously I missed football season and it will be back soon enough, and you need to make decisions now to help win during football season. It will cost you hundreds and hundreds less to sign up now. You can pay out the service fee over up to 6 months. All those options go away as we get deeper into the summer. So don't wait. It's going to increase the odds you're not going to make money betting on sports if you wait. Every week that goes by, if you wait. And that if you're doing basketball or any baseball, it's anything you're doing that we give away for free or that it's included in any way, all that profit is gained at no cost to you because prices are going to go up. It's going to cost you more for less if you wait until August or September. So go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up today, and win this weekend. So we're talking about basketball. So college basketball coming up. Who jumps out as you as the standout? You know, we had St. John's. It's really playing well right now. Beat UConn last week or so ago. They've really gotten it going with Calipari, and they're definitely a team to look at.
Patino.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
The other former Kentucky coach who's
exactly.
now
and
somewhere else having
the
success.
SEC obviously has 5 or 6 teams that are just
Dogs.
so dangerous every single night. So as basketball gets inches closer to March Madness, which is around the corner in conference tournaments, Brandon, who are you looking at going forward?
I mean, it's the SEC or the field at this point, really. But you look at, Alabama, Auburn, top 2 teams in the country play Saturday, so that's going to be a fun game. But Florida's kind of sneaking under the radar, it feels like. I mean, everyone's had their attention, at, say, Cooper Flag and Duke. Obviously, Purdue, Houston, number of other teams, St. John's, Texas A&M, Michigan State. Some of these teams have had their sort of moment in the spotlight. I haven't heard anybody talking about Florida this year. And that hurts my heart because I hate Florida with all the passion of my, that I have to say that, hey, they might be someone we need to be watching out for.
So they're third ranked. So they're definitely,
they're respected, but
running up the charts.
Yeah.
The team that I tell you has gotten really hot lately is Kansas State. I mean, they beat Kansas last. There's the great thing about college basketball, and they don't get enough credit for this, is that there's not, even though we've had back-to-back national champions, there's not especially this year, not one team. I mean, who's going to win it all? It's very difficult to tell. Auburn's the favorite right now at plus 430. Duke 4-1 or 4.5 to 1. Alabama 9.5 to 1. Houston 10 to 1. Florida 12 to 1. Tennessee 13. Iowa State 14. So you're getting good odds with anybody in the top 5 or 6 selections. And then once you get outside of that, you can make a case for a lot of teams.
Sure. I mean, you look at a Texas Tech side is salty.
Yeah, 32 to 1. I mean, how's that for a team that is doing a lot right? And, going to have a pretty high seed. So, Arizona, the first team out of the Pac-12, or out of the Big Ten, whatever. Out of the Big 12. Out of the old Pac-12, but that West Coast teams. I look at things in basketball totally different than football. If you are west of basically Salt Lake City, or in that area, Arizona, Salt Lake City, you are a team that almost always is overrated, and you're never going to make the finals.
I would say west of I-35, but your point's not missed.
Yeah, it's west side of the country. Most of the time I'll go through and teams are mark out, based on their recruiting, based on who they get, the culture, the climate, all that. East Coast, it's like when you talk about football in high school and into college, those lower college, you want to talk lower states, all right? SEC country, Texas, Florida, the better athletes. You put up the best athlete in the state of Texas against the best athlete in Connecticut. It doesn't matter who's higher ranked. The kid
No.
Texas is going to be a better football player, always. And I've seen this firsthand. In basketball, you can almost always eliminate the teams west of Oklahoma, really definitely west of New Mexico into Colorado. And Arizona is the top team that fits that. So this year, for the first time in a long time now, that the conferences have realigned, we're getting that, because in the past we would get 2 or 3 Pac-12 teams in this top 10 grouping, and so you could almost knock them out immediately, and it was just simply based on who they were playing and where they were playing. But Arizona, the top team that's west, and then you go all the way down to Gonzaga at 55-1. I mean, think about that, Brandon. The 2 teams. This has never been this way in the history of college basketball, or since I've been doing this, where you would have the only 2 teams from the West Coast in the top literally 20 teams or so are Arizona and Gonzaga. And that's simply because now the conferences have realigned and these teams are having to play better teams from the middle of the country sooner. And so they're not as viewed as highly.
Arizona is the only team in the Mountain or Pacific time zones to be ranked in the top 25.
Yeah, and they didn't get better or worse. I mean, the
No.
other teams didn't get worse.
No, they're just playing better competition at different times in the year.
It was something we could just take advantage of. That's one of those little things that, as a handicapper and a guy betting on sports, you were able to just apply into your formula. In that, if you got, frankly, into the tournament, made a lot of money in the first couple rounds because you're getting inflated value out of West Coast teams because they're beating up on West Coast teams. Now they're not able to do that. They're playing teams in the middle. So we have to then adjust our math based on that. But then you go down to teams like BYU, UCLA that are 100-1 or better to win the national title. So just a little bit of insight there. How we do it? Who do you like to win it all in college basketball?
I mean, you could pull a name out of a hat, and I could probably make a case for him, and vice versa. This is probably the year that I feel the least strongly about any one team being the team to beat. So I'm literally to a point where I could take the top 40, pluck a name out of a hat, and be like, all right, here's the team, because that's going to have a better shot of me trying to break it down.
I'm going to take the Vols at 13-1.
Okay.
I bet them to win the SEC before the season.
Yep.
I like Rick Barnes. I think he'll get this team going at the right time. They do have some outside shooting. They're able to crank up the defense when they need to. We've been able to make money betting on them at a couple of spots that have been total driven where I really should have, but they played Florida back at home a couple weeks ago, and we bet under in that one as an easy winner. Tennessee won going away. When they are able to ratchet up, those are the type of things you look at. During the season, when a team gets in a spot, it was a revenge spot for them. Florida beat them at home. They come back down. They go to Knoxville, and at halftime, it was a pretty close game, actually. And then Tennessee turned up the defense, shot the ball better, won going away. Those type of I can flip a light switch when I need to go a long way in the tournament, because you get that every single day. So I made a little asterisk in that win, when they needed to not play, league level play, but kick it up. You got beat at home pretty bad at Florida. You needed to do something good. They were able to do that. So I'm going to pick them out of a hat. They're 13-1 right now. They're worth a flyer. Like I say, to your point, I mean, you could make a case for a lot of the top teams, the top 20. But Auburn, you're not getting any value, and they've proven they're okay. They'll lose a little bit. They're not
sure.
And I do think that Duke down the stretch, even with the great freshman, he's still a freshman. And although he seems to be invincible to pretty much everything right now, they are driven by a freshman-laden team. I could see them having problems with Houston or with, somebody with some size inside, a very physical team. That kid's the real deal for sure.
Oh yeah, he's going to be an absolute star in the NBA. He's going to be an immediate impact, day one type kid. And but we've seen many guys go to Duke and do that and then not do anything in the tournament too.
Yeah, he's also a kid that when he doesn't shoot it well, he gets himself to the rim at ease, and that won't happen as easily when you play a few of these teams from a defensive standpoint, like Houston. So I think there's a couple teams that could give him some problems down the stretch. So I'll take Tennessee out on a flyer. We're out of time.
Yes.
All right, guys, have a great week. Don't drink and drive. Wager responsibly. Get signed up today if you're betting on sports all year long. The best rate the entire year. Pay out the service fee over the longest months. Add soccer now. We've got a big weekend of soccer and, of course, basketball and UFC and much more. So go to FatJackSports.com. Have a great weekend for Brandon and the Fat Jack. This has been Fat Jack Sports Hour.
Hey guys, this is the Fat Jack. Are you finally ready to get a better plan betting the games this year? Let me help. Go to FatJackSports.com, where we understand that it's not the gambling she hates, it's the losing. FatJackSports.com.